Good morning, ladies and gents. Welcome to another video brought to you by Total Control Traders. Our weekend stock pick. We missed, last 1 or 2 weeks due to market volatility and market consolidation. So now I'm looking at this chart. The market, a lot of great setups out there. So let's resume this. And what I'm looking at is next week potentially being one of the key weeks for reversal. Now, there are some very nice setups, a lot of great setups, but some very nice setups out there. So focus on your charts, focus on the tickers that you're watching. Of course, again, it's gonna be dependent on what the market does. The last time we did a stock pick video, the weekly stock pick video, was when the chart was right over here, and my message to you guys was this is gonna be hugely dependent on what the market does. And if we look at the chart, the market folded over, same as everything else. So if the market folds over like this, everything else is going to fold over. There is still a chance of that happening over here. However, what we're looking at is more like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So next week we should know what's going on. And if that is the case, it's going to be very similar to when the market folds over. Everything is going to be moving upwards. It's a matter of how much is going to be moving upwards. So consider doing triple leverage ETFs. Is that something that suits you? A little bit more diversified. Don't have to worry about individual tickers. A little bit less management. That's going to be something that I will be focusing on. But let's take a look at the charts. Before we go into the individual tickers, what we're going to be looking at is the market. Here's my thoughts. Just going to quickly go over it and why I think next week is going to be key for the market reversal. And if it is going to reverse next week, we will potentially be looking at new all-time highs in the market. All right, SPX. We were looking at this head and shoulders. It folded over. And now we're looking at a potential of inverse head and shoulders. And this is going to be a strong inverse head and shoulders. Neckline being this upper trend line right here right now. We're seeing 3 rejections already. This rejection on, what was it? Monday? No, Wednesday. Can't remember which day. Wednesday, yeah. It's a very key rejection on the upper trend line as well as the GP. Now we're seeing lower wicks forming. So the potential of inverse head and shoulders is looking up. And what we could be looking at is coming back down to the GP as low as the GP. However, what I'm looking for is the hold of this 0.5 for a strong reversal sign. So if we were to come back down to the 0.5, I would say probably Monday, Tuesday, we're going to know whether the 0.5 is going to hold. So let's say Tuesday kind of a thing. 0.5, we will be looking up at somewhere around there for the first sign. And then from there, what we could be looking at is a higher low before another leg up. So this is going to be, when you look at this A, B, C correction, and based on Elliott's wave, 1 is the smallest move, 2, and 3, we could very well be looking at new all-time high already on the 3 because it's going to be the biggest leg. So next move, very explosive, very high potential of being a huge explosive move. You do not want to be missing this bull move from here. All right, so let's get into the individual tickers. What are we looking at that's the best, or what I'm thinking is the best setups? First one is gonna be Tesla, our baby, everyone's baby, lots of people's baby. So this is what we're looking at on Tesla, okay? Actually, sorry, forgot something here. On the hourly of SPX, the market, we were looking for this break on Friday. We wanted to see that high of day close. This candle was looking very nice, high of day close, until it got shut down. Of course, it was going to look nice before it gets shut down. But this is what we're looking at now. Hourly, there's also an inverse head and shoulders potential. We're gonna have to see where the retracement comes back to, and this short-term wise, this is the key trend line to break over here on SPX. This does not show up on the, but if you zoom into the 4 hours, you zoom into the hourly, you will see inverse head and shoulder potential. So early Monday, I'm looking for that confirmation early Monday. All right, let's go back to Tesla. Everyone's anticipating Tesla. Look at this. Look at this. Upper trend line, 1, 2, 3 rejection already. And we held that 0.382. This is one hell of a strong bullish sign. We are stalling in this zone, 937 to 943.7. Rejected basically a double top, 396.49, 396. Oh wait, I thought I got to 396.49 twice. Anyways, 395.5, close enough. So with this double top, triple top, we'll be looking at immediate backtest of this upper trend line before a leg up. But based on the bounce, based on the break of upper trend line from the hold of 0.382, I do anticipate Tesla to have a big move coming up. Tesla is going to be the top watch. If market reverses, that is going to be the one that's going to pay for sure. All right, next one we're looking at is going to be Google. So as many of you already know, this is a 20-1 split. Google announced a 20-1 split, and it shot up straight into new all-time high, double top, immediate sell-off. That showed a sign of weakness. That's going to be continuing to coming down, and the next day, continue selling pressure. Now we're looking for that touch of the 88. Touch of the 88, followed by the next one is going to be top of key zone and lining up with the 0.5 gap fill all around that area. Gap fill is 27.55. 0.5 is at 27.60. The key zone, the top of the key zone is 27.57. It's all around that area. Of course, most ideal, we're going to be looking for that gap fill, 27.55. That would be the most ideal entry. But Google, longer term wise, 20-1 split. Hey, there's going to be a lot of people that want to get in Google. What is it trading at? 28.65 divided by 20. You're looking at $140 on Google. A lot of people are gonna be wanting to buy Google for that $140. The general consensus, the general perception, I should say perception, is that the stock is gonna be a lot cheaper, but it's not, because you're only gonna be owning 1/20th of a share, even though it's at $140. So with that, longer term wise projection, I do think this is for sure going to see new all-time high. It's just a matter of when we're going to be seeing that reversal. On Friday, we saw a spinning candlestick, not really a bottom. So I would anticipate, right now it's in direction, no specific direction. Most ideal, just keep an eye on 27.55 on Google. And the next one is Nvidia. So Nvidia, QCOM, you pick one kind of a thing. QCOM is a lot stronger. It is near that new all-time high, but Nvidia, it's sold off quite decently. When we look at this chart, look at where it's holding. Okay, we actually didn't have it drawn yet, but look at where it's holding on Friday. It's near that 0.5. Very, very similar chart to, remember when we talked about bottom. For those of you that didn't watch the video, make sure you watch on the video on the Friday, not this Friday that just passed, but the one before that. Why we said market bottoming, exact same thing. 0.5, huge dip, strong break on volume. So that's potentially what we're looking at for Nvidia. 0.5 hold. We're gonna need to see that break on volume. Nvidia looking very nice. Upper trend line, key to break. Lots of rejections. 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections from that upper trend line already. A gap up, immediate sell off. So but if you look at this candle, okay, psychology wise, a gap up, immediate sell off. Look at the lower wicks. Look at the lower wick the day before that. Look at these lower wicks. Buying pressures. Buying pressures are coming in. Really love what Nvidia is doing. Now let's take a look at the fourth. Yeah, the fourth. Last but definitely not least, top pick of this week is Apple. How can we forget about Apple? Look at this chart of the market consolidation. Market pulled back. SPX, I think, pulled back like 16% or so. Apple only pulled back 16%. And look where we held. This key trend line from that split news. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rejections became a support over here. See that slight support, immediate backtest support. And then let's see, almost a backtest. And that's exactly where we got to. Well, technically, depending on where you look at it, you just call this a GP touch too. This cannot get any more perfect. Wick to the GP, strong, and then backtest, solid backtest of that upper trend line, previous upper trend line. And on this last couple, 2-3 days of market pullback, it's held that 88. The only thing I worry about Apple a little bit is if you look back at all of the ex-dividend dates, there tend to be a little bit of selling, if not a lot of selling, depending on what trend it is in. So take this one, for example, it was coming down, and the ex-dividend, from there, it came down further. So 9 out of 10 times, post ex-dividend date on Apple, you do see a little bit more selling pressure. So that could be the case, especially since we're curling over here. Monday, Tuesday, we will know what this is going to look like. We are nowhere near 0.5 or even the 0.382. So it makes sense for Apple to pull back to the 0.382, backtest this previous support, where we're seeing 1, 2, 3 bounces on here already. If we're to see a dip buying from there, that's going to be one hell of a strong chart looking at new all-time high. This is a daily bear divergence, lack of follow-through. There's decent follow-through, but not a whole lot. So this is what we're looking at for Apple. And that's the top pick, the 4 top picks for this weekly stock pick. However, there are 3 other honorable mentions that I want to make sure I cover here. First one is going to be Netflix. There is a huge gap to fill. Okay, this trend line where we've seen previous multiple rejections broke over, and then riding along that. So this is definitely a bear sign. Riding along that, immediate back test, no bounce from there, a bear sign, and then we saw a huge gap down. Look where we're rejecting from. It's close. Depending on how you draw the trend line, it can probably be a perfect touch. Actually, we're using old points over here, so let's use this point. If you draw it to here, this will be a perfect rejection, but I like this point a little bit better. Yeah, so looking at this, a rejection coming back down. We are not touching the GP yet. Technically, we're holding that 0.5 on the daily. No close under the 0.5. Very strong as well. Okay, on this, if we're to break over this uptrend line, which I do believe that we will be looking at a gap fill, and that is going to be a 20-some% move on Netflix. That is going to be one of the top watches as well, but we need confirmation on this one before any other ones. Okay, Tesla has already broken bull. Nvidia is looking to break bull. This one, the wick is a little bit more concerning. It's lost. Technically, the wick has lost a 0.5, so it's a little bit weaker versus Nvidia. Apple still above that 88, so that's why those 4 other names are a lot more stronger and our top pick for the weekly stock pick. But we cannot go without mentioning Netflix. This is because of the upside potential. This is going to be a big move once this confirms. The bottom, again, when market reverses, everything's going to move. Just pick the names that are going to move the most. Right, so the next honorable mention that we have to talk about, and we did mention it already, is QCOM. It is still trading above that 88. However, the reason why I don't like it as a weekly stock pick is because of Thursday's candle. That huge volume coming in. Post earnings, big volume coming in, big upper wick, selling off. Then we like it because it's holding on Friday. When it's holding that 88. This is very notable, and not to mention, during the market consolidation, it only pulled back to the 0.382. It backtested that previous high and a little bit more. There is still a huge gap left behind, but based on where we're bouncing from, based on where we bounced from, the 0.382 could probably even maybe call it 0.5. Let's see. No, it did not touch the 0.5. So 0.382, it was a hold with one close under it, and now could see sideways action, but the chart is still in new all-time high zone, so we could see another back test before an actual go. This is QCOM, honorable mention number 2. And number 3, Facebook. Look where it's trying to hold. This GP since pandemic low to pandemic high, huge gap down from earnings. I think it was 24% gap down. 24.26% gap down. Look where the bulls are trying to hold. On the open of this, originally I talked about potential lotto idea if we were to open right on top of the key zone. However, we opened under, and that's why the lotto idea was scratched. And then from there, we saw continuing selling, and we talked about seeing that bottom part of the key zone alongside the GP. That's exactly where we got to. So this could be very well could be a spinning bottom candlestick, and this will be, like let's take a look at Netflix gap down next day, mark the bottom. Okay. I can't remember, but there's a couple other examples out there as well. I can't remember the tickers for them, but this is exactly what we're looking at for potential for Facebook. Gap down, a little bit of a sell off, next day marks the bottom. It's still going to be a little bit of sideways action before it starts trying to fill the gap. So this is what we'll be looking at. Exact same thing, a little bit more touching 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 days of touching before it actually starts popping to try to fill the gap. And on that first move, what you'll be looking for is that 0.382. Wow, look at that perfect drawing. Just eyeballing it, hey? 0.382 before, what could happen is coming back down, back test this one before an actual gap fill. Gap fill is way up here, but this is the next resistance area we'll be looking for. So that's going to be Facebook, and that marks this week's top pick video. To do a quick recap, Google, if I were to rank them, Tesla would be ranking number 1 because it's already broken bull. We're looking for back test of that upper trend line. Tesla, number 1 weekly top pick, and number 2 will be, timing wise, Nvidia QCOM, probably at Nvidia QCOM. Looking for that hold to 0.5 and a break on volume. Third is going to be Google, watching for reaction on that daily 8 and maybe coming back down to the 0.5 for that most ideal entry. And the reason why we rank Apple as number 4 is, again, that ex-dividend, post-ex-dividend selling pressure kind of thing. So that's top 4 picks. Honorable mention, Netflix, Facebook, QCOM. Now, for those of you that watched Friday morning live's lotto idea, the lotto obviously didn't work out, and there were signs that which one was it? Pins? Pins was the lotto idea that we're looking at on Friday morning. Now, the lotto obviously didn't work out. We're looking at the gap down, buy up. Gap down, is not pins? No, snap, sorry. Gap. Okay, yeah. Snap, we're looking at the gap up sell off because this is a huge gap up, 40-50% gap up. So we're looking for that sell off. And for lotto ideas, you need to make sure that you know the invalidation point. So the invalidation point was obviously this upper trend line. On this, initially, when you saw the buy up, this rejection needed to see follow through and lose the low of day. So this was already a first red flag. Now, depending on how you play it, based on this bounce, you could have added here. We're looking for put. Sorry, you could have. We added over here, and on this is a red flag, and then coming back up on the break, that is the negation of Friday Lotto. Anyways, just wanted to quickly cover that because I am sure that this is our first morning live that we went into market open where I actually actively called out a lotto idea during morning live. So I wanted to make sure we cover the trade specifically, what exactly went on. So I entered at the market open, the first entry. Probably bad idea. IV was still spiked. Then we added over here. I added over here. And then I exited on the break of this upper trend line. So that was a loss on the trade. The other lotto that we took was FB, Facebook. I love saying that word. The lotto idea was on the break of this short-term uptrend line that we're looking at as a community in our TC trades. And so lotto idea, and I think I sold somewhere over here right before that pop. Good trade, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Top picks. Keep your eyes on the market. If you are not sure of which ticker to pick, may I suggest taking a look at FNGU, SOXL, TQQQ, SPXL. Those triple leverages, just a few names to throw out there. YINN is a China name. Just few tickers, triple leverages. Don't worry about it. It's a lot less management, a lot less charts to look at. Just make sure you chart the underlying asset instead of those individual names. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next video.